And hello, everyone. If it's Wednesday and it's at noon, we for sure have the PentaBAR with very, very nice subjects. And this subject today, it will be about hypergrowth and engineering, actually, how the hypergrowth works. And we'll have this with no other than Rares Hutanu, who is the head of dev at Bitpanda. We'll find out more on what that means. But before doing that, let me just tell you, that will be on the very nice agenda on explaining how do you get from being a PHP developer to the head of dev, then what's behind the scenes of an international move and a product hypergrowth, and what's the secret sauce in doing that, making that happen in terms of teams, in terms of what we're working on. Rares Hutanu is the head of development, as I said, on Bitpanda, and he manages a growing engineering team and works closely with company C-level management. And that's for making it possible to have a good user experience to the platform. He moved to Vienna 7 years ago to pursue a master's degree, and now he's working for the neobroker from 2017. And we'll find out more about that. Rares, welcome. How are you? If you can hear us.
Hi, Mihai. Thank you for the presentation and happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. Also, I'm a keen, supporter of any Romanian in diaspora that it's bringing back value to all that we hear. But you're working on good afternoon from Oxford, as Raluca is saying, and I believe there are tech people that are working all over the place, and that's very, very important. We're trying to build up this community at Pentalog and to share. I know that you are also working with Pentalog, but I just positioned that hook there, and we will explain us what you're doing together later on. But in order to have this a bit frame and having the discussion, it may be on the minds of every developer, and being curious, how do you actually get this kind of offer, in being head of development after a career in dev? How is that possible?
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, I hope we can deliver an interesting talk for our attendees. And for your question, if you see just the head of development position now, it's like seeing the top of the iceberg.
Yeah.
This is the latest step in my career. And under it, I think it's a lot of work, and how I like to believe there is success in the projects that I had, in the teams with which I worked.
Yeah.
So there is no secret sauce beside working your way
working your way out. But
yeah.
What do you think what's your differentiator? What did you do well in order to get there or to be observed?
I think there is no fixed recipe.
Yeah, but
of course, it's a combination of good choices and hard work, I would say.
How was that, talking about your position now, tell us a bit more about Bitpanda.
Yeah, money are in our lives for a lot of time already. And as we can see, this investment, it has some barriers at the moment. It's not so accessible and simple for all the people. So here, Bitpanda is coming, and what they are trying to do is to break these barriers and to make investment and trading simple and efficient for everyone. Bitpanda is a fintech that was founded in 2014. It's based in Vienna, and it has 3 co-founders, Eric, Christian, and Paul. It it allows you to use it from a laptop, from a phone. It provides a web interface, but also on Android and iOS native apps. When you connect, and then with simple actions, you are able to trade, to buy, sell different types of digital assets, to place investments. And I think this is what differentiates us on the market, because even if you are a 20 years old student or you are a 50 years old judge, you should see this app as your choice in regards of investment.
And I do see that is the future somehow. Maybe we'll discuss more upon that, just to feel a bit the industry and what's behind it. But if I have to place that in my mind, so if you're the average person working in tech, you're most probably earning more than your peers in other fields. And that's not, I mean, that's available across multiple countries and territories. So you most probably have this problem of, you know, how do you put your money to work? You know, you have some economies, you want a smart investment, and then based on your risk adverse line, let's say, you know, from risk adverse to more risk taker, you decide in investing them in different things. And where is, I mean, what is Bitpanda making it possible on this line?
Bitpanda should make possible everything in regards of investment. And this is the goal towards where we are going.
Cool.
Just to
go ahead.
here, there is a revolution that some neobanks started a few years ago, like Revolut, for example, or N26. And we could see how the banking industry moved to something more simple and efficient, with very low fees or no fees, with you in full control. And this is where Bitpanda wants to go in regards of trading. We started with crypto a few years ago, so our public mainly knows us about cryptocurrency investments. 2 years ago, we started to add different other commodities on our platform, like precious metals. And as our CEO announced last year, in the future, we will integrate stocks and ETFs. So on your line, we should be able to make every investment possible. It doesn't matter if you want to put your money into crypto, commodities, stocks.
But I like the way that you're talking about, you know, a neobroker. How is that different from a normal broker?
It's about this about digitalizing the traditional way of investing. That we are changing the industry for our customers to remove these barriers and make these actions simple and efficient. There is no clear definition of what neobroker means, but it should be a broker in a modern way that allows you to be in full control over your assets, yourself, to be responsible of your actions, to have a secure platform where you can trust that your money are safe and, as you said, working for you, hopefully productive.
It's nice because, I mean, when I hear you talking, what I hear is, you know, and what I love about platforms like Bitpanda is that first, they're making things simpler for other persons. And second, what I think that's a important value proposition is, you know, chunking or making partitions of stocks that are very large and you could not afford one full stock, and then you can buy fractions of that, and that allows you, I mean, that gives a space for people, for regular people, to play on the bigger market.
Exactly. Yeah, we want to make investment affordable for everyone and to at least give them the chance to try, even if they don't possess a big portfolio in the beginning to invest. So we have a minimum trade amount of €1 per trade, which I think it's more than super decent. And as you said, you're allowed to invest it as you want. Even buying a fraction of something.
So being in this kind of project now, it's kind of a no-brainer. So it's a good rocket to hop in and to serve that wave that's on this industry. But from a tax person perspective, so if you position yourself in your mind when you embark the process. So now, I mean, looking back things, and you, as you are saying, you know, being also the head of is the tip of the iceberg. But if you were to look back on how you took the decision to embark this project, what mattered for you?
Yeah, I would be happy now to look back and see the decision that I took, because I worked in Vienna after I finished my studies, as you presented, for 3 years in a clinical research company. And then I decided to change and look for something else. And to be honest, it was easier than before. So I got 3 offers, and then I had to really take a decision. And I didn't go for the company that had a rooftop office in the first district of Vienna, which was very fancy, because it was a media agency and the project was not interesting. I also didn't go for the best financial offer, because luckily I considered that at that period in my life, other things are important and I should seek potential. And yeah, I chose Bitpanda. And luckily, yeah, I had this opportunity to choose. But it was not so easy, because back in those days, there was no HR at Bitpanda. And the founder who was programming the platform, he was as well taking care of the recruiting. And the platform was already online. He was busy. So I had to push for my review, for my answers, for but I'm glad that I did so.
Cool. So what I take from that is that not what appears to be the best offer and the best top office and maybe the established company might give you the more interesting projects. So you're choosing based on potential and on how you can develop yourself and on the projects. On that side, we heard, I mean, I personally heard very interesting interviews about the projects that are presented here at PentaBAR, some of Pentalog and some of the Pentalog, guests. So going forward and entering a bit the meat and bones of our subject, where did you start? So, I mean, how is it to be part of a startup like that? And with this, I do open the questions for everybody. So please feel free to put questions, especially in the Q&A, for us to be able to manage them more easily, and in the chat. So if you want to know anything, may those be the tech experts on how do you manage the hypergrowth, what kind of technologies were used, while programming that. How did it feel in the team, on how is the team, like chemistry, anything that's it's of your interest, as long as we will be talking about, how Bitpanda made its way to, from zero to hero, from a couple of users to, you have how many now, Rares?
Employees
and then users.
Employees over 300 from 50 nations.
Okay.
And users almost 2 million.
2 million, yeah. So those both are streams that are interesting for us to maybe see, and we already have the first question. And it's a good questions to start actually with, you know, in order to place the product better, and I expect more to come. What differentiates Bitpanda service from other similar services, and what is the key to execute that differentiator, Raresh? And I think that's a good starting question to position the product, and then to go future back and to see how that works.
Yeah. First of all, I think our numbers are showing that the product is heading in the good direction, and our results are good. But we are European leading platform in regards of cryptocurrency investment, and we are heading into being a leader on the neobroker market. We provided secure solutions for our customers. We provided, based on our support ratings and so on, good service for our customers as well. It's a platform that is simple, and you don't need IT special skills to be able to invest into cryptocurrencies and so on. We also have an academy where we are trying to teach our customers how to invest, how to make their investment strategies, to tell them a bit about every asset and so on. So they are able to get better results from their investments.
So what I take from here is that you had an approach, and that can be a differentiated first for the crypto, because I mean, you offered a way for crypto passionates to, you know, really take advantage of that or be in that industry. Then it was about security, as you said. So it's a secure service, then user friendly, and then a learning giveaway through the academy, which are all kind of differentiators for that. Okay, so what made it possible? And I'm still waiting for questions to appear. So in 4 years, going from, you know, being a small team to 10 people to more than 300, how did that happen?
So when I joined, I was a PHP backend developer in a flat structure, I would say, because in the development area, there was the CTO, and which was a co-founder, which built the version 1 of the platform himself. And I think this is one of the most impressive things that I know, because he was able to do and start everything alone. But yeah, we were just developers, UI, UX, front-end, back-end engineers, and one tester. And then we started to develop version 2 of the Bitpanda app, the version that is also today online. And we also started to grow by customers and by hiring. There was a bull run in 2017. I don't know if you remember. It was a period when Bitcoin hit $20,000 in December 2017. And in that period, cryptocurrencies got a good media coverage. So people became curious about investing, and Bitpanda was there to provide this simple solution as an European-based company which you can trust on the market. And then the growth started. And then while we started hiring, I took the responsibility to be a team lead for the backend developers. And we grew that team from 3 members in the beginning until 14. And then again, we reached a limit for that step. The team was already big enough, 14 developers in the backend team. And then we started a bigger transition to move to cross-functional teams. And after a period of consulting and bringing experts and so on, we decided to follow the LESS framework with cross-functional teams. And then I took the technical program manager position, being responsible mainly to onboard outsourced teams, which could help us to resolve our product backlog, because we had this issue that we wanted to do many things. We had a lot of work in front of us, and even if internally we were trying to hire as good as possible and as much as possible, we couldn't keep up with the product growth, with the hiring growth. And even right now, we have over 100 open positions. We opened a second hub in Poland because maybe Vienna should not be a single point of recruiting for us, but still we have the need of outsourcing help. And I think this is normal because you always need some experts that can guide and consult you and see points from other points of view.
Yeah. And I know that Pentalog is one of the teams that is helping that growth, and that you chose for that. So tell me, how do you make that decisions? And then maybe we enter some specific in the platform. So how did that go? So you have a growth, you decide, but how do you actually make that happen?
We had several meetings back in the days with several companies deciding how to start this outsourcing process. Pentalog was one of them. We had meetings with Sergey, and the solution that Pentalog provided was good for us. It sounded suitable. They had the manpower to fulfill our needs. And we started with one external team as a test. We wanted to see how it goes and then to continue. And the first team that we took was from Yash. It was a backend oriented team, 4 backend developers, 1 QA automation, 1 Scrum Master, and 1 product owner half-time. And the team provided good results. And it showed us that it's a reliable solution. And then we had the need to get more and more. And this is what we did. While growing our team internally as much as possible, we also grew our external providers, external solution.
And you're saying that there was some different perspectives or things that are important in having outsourcing teams. Can you give us some examples of things that helped you in a way that didn't appear so, or that make the difference?
Yes, for example, security related issues.
Yeah.
What we want to always have is a very secure platform.
Yeah.
Top-notch technologies and so on. So beside our internal resources, we all the time work with external consultants, with external teams that are testing our platform, our security, and so on. There are other cases when maybe you need an expert in some area where you don't have an expert in-house, and then Pentalog or other companies can be there to help you. It happened several times for us. We have partners with which we are working, and yeah, they proved themselves.
Some other questions are arising. Thanks for sharing the experience. I bet a lot of things have changed during these 4 years. So a few questions. What changed in terms of tech stack? Then I maybe respond to that, and then I'll go with the questions. There are the 3 questions, mainly 4.
The tech stack evolved together with the company. There is always way more to do under the hood than the clients are seeing. And we had to optimize our platform to support more and more users. So our tech stack also evolved. We started with a monolith, mainly in PHP on the backend. And now we are in a process of moving to a complete event-driven development, having microservices. They communicate with queues. We have a Kafka cluster as well, producers, consumers. On the front end, we have Angular, we have Kotlin for Android and Swift for iOS, the native apps. I cannot tell you very much how the tech stack evolved in these areas. I was closer with the backend department.
Yeah. But that's a good overview anyhow. And then the second question, are you working agile? What was the methodology from the beginning?
Yeah, as I said, we are using the LESS framework as Scrum. So we have cross-functional teams which are working in 2-week sprints. We have all the ceremonies, daily stand-ups, retros. So we are working agile.
And that's in sync with the teams that are outsourced also.
Yes, they are following our approach.
And you
change because sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead.
This process is never finishing. All this agile transformation has probably change as the only constant, because we are iterating over it and we are trying to improve it. It's not easy to make this transition, to have people which work in a 10, 20, 30 man company into a company with over 300 people. So it's not an easy transition.
So talking about the over 300 people, how are the teams distributed?
We have cross-functional teams which are belonging to a domain. We have 2 main products. One is the Bitpanda broker, and one is broker in this investment platform that I mentioned, where people are allowed to invest from Bitpanda and sell to Bitpanda instantly. They can also spend these assets directly with the Bitpanda card. And for professional trading, we have the Bitpanda Pro, which is an exchange. And these 2 products, together with the platform, are composed by several domains. For example, I'm responsible on the payments domain, which includes the bank integrations, all the payment, payout, the card project, and another project I'm not allowed to disclose. We have the platform team, which is responsible for what's under the hood. We have a core trading team and so on.
Another very interesting question is, being on top of an affirmation first. I like how participants today frame their questions, you know, and they put context to them. So being on top of the latest technologies requires a magical sphere to make the right choice at the beginning, you know, finding developers, making sure that the frameworks chosen are supported in the long run. How did you make your choice? Why those technologies, and did you end up regretting some of those choices, and why?
Yeah, making choices, you know, is always tricky.
Yeah.
And there is and disadvantages. You have to put in a balance which developers you have, what is the scope, how can these languages help you in what you're trying to achieve, which is the perfect one. And this is the process how we are picking up for microservice, for example. Put these things in a balance. And of course, our scope is to get the most performance with the less investment to say.
Okay. What would you, I mean, tell us about one technology that you've chosen and it ended up to be a good idea. And looking from that position, you know, why so? I mean, what you are looking for, and maybe, you know, what you foresee that it is a good, and what surprises, good or bad, came along.
For example, deciding to use a Kafka cluster for our project was a good idea, which helped us to event-driven development faster and more secure. For it's not so common to use a Kafka cluster with PHP. So that's why before we were using SQS from Amazon as a queuing system. But now looking back, setting everything up, being able to work with it, with producers, consumers, gave us the flexibility and allowed us to have now Java microservices, Go microservices, and so
on. What was the most, let me see, we have another question. Yeah. What have been your favorite moments at Bitpanda so far? And what has been the hardest parts of the journey?
There were many good moments. Of course, the successful moments are staying there when we released features like Best, our utility token, which was received very good by the market, when we released the version 2 of the app, and back in the days we were few employees. That was
around 40, isn't it?
Around 40, yeah. That's a great success. The celebrations that we had after that, we know how to celebrate as well. I like that this thing didn't lose from Bitpanda's culture. We stayed. Now it's harder with Corona, but before we were able to keep these summer trips that we are having, or the celebration parties that we are having, even if we grew 10 times from the beginning. And regarding the hardest moments, nothing was easy. There were, I would say, the transition that was felt by the company, not just by me personally, that you have to make while scaling up so fast and so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a complicated way, and it's not easy. No matter what you do, you cannot please everyone. You cannot pick the perfect scenario from the beginning, because you have to iterate over it to see what's good for your team, for your environment, and then to adapt.
Mm-hmm. So back in those days when you released version 2, you said you were 40, and from our previous talks, I've seen that you didn't have like a established formal Scrum methodology, although some ceremonies were in place, but you didn't put a tag or name on it. What made those evolve to an agile framework? I mean, how did that go?
I think scaling requires this agile transformation.
Mm-hmm.
We were working very agile when we were 20, 30, because we were in the same place and probably in the same room, and it was direct communication. We were in the same office, so it was possible. But when you grow so much and you have so many teams, you need a very good plan and an organized way how to do it. And this agile framework was confirmed by many other companies and by everyone. And I think the way that we took, it was a good choice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how do you go about, there was a question about recruiting and outsourcing now. So now you're still growing, but you have some outsourcing team that are integrated in the cycles and that are working. And as I know, Pentalog is one of the biggest. So, and you say that you're recruiting only good developers. And I know that in the PentaBARs, we had this discussion a lot, I mean, being really good in what you do is important for Pentalog's culture. How do you go about that?
I think there are many good developers.
Yeah.
And being good and not succeeding in an interview, it doesn't mean something else or that you're not good. We have some specific requirements. We have some specific technologies, frameworks that we want to see experience in. And
can you name some? And you look after?
We are looking for people which have experience with microservices in this event-driven architecture. I'm talking now about PHP.
Yeah.
It's a backend or backend in general, but we have open positions for Android, iOS, Angular, Vue, everything. So, but in regards of backend, we want people with similar experience in a company like us, which is working with a mature product and encountered, for example, concurrency issues.
Mm-hmm.
And so on.
And a question in the chat, what impacted the technology choices? I think we've seen some angles of that from the previous questions, but maybe you want to clarify on that.
What impacted?
Yeah.
Definitely choosing a language impacts the hiring. And if I understand correctly, because we will look for developers in that area more. But at the moment, we are looking for all kind of developers.
No, I mean in the tech. So the question was more in chosen technologies and how did you make those choices? And I think we've kind of addressed it, but maybe if they want to clarify what they're asking, and maybe you go an angle, maybe give a concrete example, why a technology and why not another one, to just clarify how do you make your choices in the technologies you choose.
Yeah, for example, for the socket.io microservice, where we are distributing socket events. We are using Node.js because that's a proper language to write this socket.io project. On the backend, we have many services in PHP because our core monolith was in PHP. The logic was already there in PHP. We had the knowledge in-house. The people with experience knew the solution. So it was easier for us to continue this PHP development in this area. When we see a language that can have better results for other microservices, we are open to pick it and continue with it. And this is what we started to do, and this is how we will continue to do it.
I go maybe a different direction now. You know, you are a fintech company, and therefore confidence is very important, and you know, zero bugs admitted. How do you work on that?
Yeah, I mentioned that security is very important for every company normally, but especially for a fintech company. We want to provide a secure experience to our customers as well. And this responsibility is pushing us to be way more careful than normal when we are implementing features, when we are planning the implementations. That's why we have different external companies that are consulting us in this regard. We are trying also from experience, because you're building an experience as a company. People are coming with their experience as well. So from experience, we are developing in this area as well. We have a fast lane. When there is a bug, it happens that a bug reaches production, but we want to be sure that we did our best to avoid that. And then there is a fast lane to fix it. What I learned being a developer and seeing this product growing is that there are never enough logs, or you can never put too many security layers or validations, because it's very important to be sure that what you do is right, it works as expected. And that's why the developer is testing. We have additional QA that are testing the code. We have tests in the pipeline and so on.
Okay. And, you know, I mean, talking about crypto, where do you see that going?
We're in the middle of the bull run now. And that brought us again a lot of attention, not just to us, but to crypto in general. I personally can feel that all my friends are asking me again, hey, about investment advices and so on. And I cannot give them, but I see it as a market which is not as new as it was in 2017, which is more stable. There are institutions investing and trying to be part of this movement. I think it's something new that is consolidating at the moment.
Another question was that when it comes to outsourcing, do you work also with freelancers? And if yes or no, why? I mean, explain a bit the reasons behind.
Yeah, we would like to hire everyone.
So it's not about, not yet is the answer.
But why to be a freelancer when you can be an employee? What we want is to have your full attention and to have your engagement in regards of the product and the team. If you want to work 20 hours because you're busy and you want to stay with your family, or then we can hire you for 20 hours. But if you want to work 40, then we hire you full time.
Okay.
Outsourcing, because these companies are providing outsourced employees, which are trained already, which have experience in different projects. And yeah,
it's already a chemistry working. So the systems are in place there. From previous talks, what I heard is, the rituals, the ceremonies are there. They know how to integrate, with the customer and fast plug in some services.
Exactly. We started with outsourcing last year in March, as I remember, and it was exactly in the same time when this pandemic period started. We never onboarded someone remote as an internal, so we had to do it first with a full outsourcing team. And we did it, we adapt, we iterate over every onboarding, and we reached a level where we are doing it very good. And also our external solutions are helping other external solutions to onboard and become heads on very fast.
Yeah. So that's a very good example of a good practice. And I imagine it's also from a focus standpoint, and I'm hearing you talking about that. It's, you want an end-to-end ownership over a deliverable, and, not managing bits and pieces of parts of projects and various stakeholders. And wherever there is a parts of a machine working, and I mean, machine being a team, and then sub teams, you want clear end-to-end responsibility to some of this.
Exactly. We want the team to have this ownership that you mentioned. That's why we changed this approach with cross-functional teams. What we want is that the team can pick a feature from a user story level and bring it as close to production or to production as possible.
Okay. How are you doing the rituals now? And how are you doing that, cross countries, cross clients, and remotely?
Yeah, the pandemic taught us how to switch to a remote way of working.
Where there is will or force, you find a way.
Of course, if there is no other way, you find a way, and we can say that it's working pretty well. We didn't feel a decrease in the performance. We are also trying to make the people be comfortable as well and be integrated even if they are at home. We have team coffee meetings, we have parties online when we celebrate something, Christmas parties, summer parties, online, sadly. But you're right, we are doing the ceremonies online now. There is this daily every morning, all the meetings are online or on Google Hangouts. The Scrum Masters are having the lead here, and they take care that the team is available and they have everything what they need to attend these meetings. Yeah. we are providing them all the necessary tools at home as well to be able to feel comfortable as they would be in the office.
Mm-hmm. So I'll give you a reflection question until my colleagues and until I announce something. So the question would be, and we'll address to that, and we have one more question from the public, and keep them coming if you haven't. Actually, the question that just appeared was on my mind. So I will read this and I will just complete if I feel through. So if we think about the future perspective, you know, of, I mean, it said company, but I will go industry, you know, I will go domain. You mentioned something about stocks. Is there a timeline where this will be integrated? And are there any other new features in the plan? Many thanks for the info and good luck in the journey. So I would say, you know, how is the future of this domain? May you be, I mean, we place ourselves in the shoes of a developer in-house or at Pentalog or anywhere else, you know, that is passionate in some way on working on crypto or working on, you know, neo-brokering or this domain. What are your perspectives on how the industry will evolve and what's needed maybe from a tech perspective in order to be in tune with that? And until you think about it a bit and structure it, my colleagues are asking me to announce that, you know, we have still the tech trends for 2021. If you want to have them, they've just posted in the chat here the link, and please subscribe to that if you want to get the tech trends. If we're talking about the future, you might get some ideas from there. And then the feedback form, please do that. It's literally very helpful for us to bring you interesting subjects for the future talks. We had from the, you know, live coding and simulation to talks like that on various subjects. Don't forget to mention those if possible. So thank you for completing both of them and subscribing for the tech trends and the feedback. And then I'll let Rares, you know, tackle the last question.
Yes, so I think the industry is moving into this digitized way of investments. And this is what Bitpanda is trying to do, to have everything very simple and accessible in regards of investment. Regarding the stocks and ETFs time plan, I'm not allowed to share these kind of informations, and neither the future products. We have many future products in the pipeline. I would say very interesting. The company is growing a lot and it's growing fast. And I see a lot of potential. So, yeah, I think opening these investment opportunities for everyone will, educate the people to in this area as well. And then there will be just progress, hopefully, and people which know what they want can just force us to adapt and provide better solutions, which ends up in a better product. And this is what we want.
I'm taking some notes there. And in terms of tech, I mean, if you want to work in that field, may those be internally or at Pentalog, what should you do to be working on this?
The attitude, I think, is very important. So if you want to work in a company that's dealing with top-notch technologies or to do great things, you have to like what you're doing, to get experience, to be good and responsible, reliable. And then the company is the one that should fight to get you, and you will have to choose. to which one of them are you going? It's not
So
that
it's about,
easy, as I said.
what?
I mean, it's not that easy that companies will fight for you, but if you prove what you're doing and you have a portfolio, I'm sure it's not complicated.
Okay. So what I take from here is having a good attitude, highly important. And I know, I mean, I'm here as a coach and trainer myself, you know, and being a former HR director, so I manage recruitment. I feel that that's important. So, I mean, it's not important to be the star of a team. And, you know, I mean, managing your ego as a top programmer is mainly, I think it's priority to manage that than to be the top programmer in the team and to be a team player. Have the beginner's mindset in the attitude, and, you know, I mean, be willing to learn and know that this is ever evolving, and there's always something new to learn, a new perspective there. And I think you can imagine that. And I fully agree on the reliability. Reliability is key. It's very important, and you know, it's really making difference as a personal profile.
Exactly.
So thank you, Rares, very much for being with us. Don't forget, and I'll continue with that, but don't forget that next week we'll have Sebastian Lorber from React.js, expert for Facebook, you know, and we'll discuss about records and tuples and how that will impact React. So a very nice and interesting theme again. Thank you 1,000 times, and thank you for all the listeners that are here. I am sure more will do that. Entering the platform, they will see other PentaBARs that might appeal to their needs of learning and the needs of giving it away. Pentalog is doing that, you know, to share and spread the knowledge and maybe give a little bit of the culture, inside culture, you know, and continuous improvement that we're doing. And hope to see you soon again. We'll be connected on LinkedIn and see all the others here. Thank you, and see you next week in another PentaBAR with Sebastian Lorber from React.js on these nice subjects. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye, bye, bye.
Thank you as well. Bye, everyone.
Bye.